Before watching this video, please subscribe and notify our channel for more educational information.
Hello, everyone. I hope you're having a really good night. My name is Chelsea Dim. I'm the Director of Counseling here at the San Marino and La Canada branch at YSI. And today I am going to lead you through our Introduction to Application Season seminar. So this seminar will provide you with all of the information that you need going forward through the application process with us here at YSI. And so let's go ahead and get started. Oh yes, and if you have any questions, I'd just like that you please hold them till the end. Some of the material will be covered by the end, and then at the end we'll have a long Q&A, and we'll also go over the senior packets as well. So what will we cover today? Your YSI team, resources for both students and parents, important dates and deadlines, the role of student, parent, and YSI during the application process. We're going to do an overview of the application season as well, including some college information, some information about selecting your major or your application major, as we call them, and your senior folder as well. Okay, so here's the YSI team. So your college counselor is going to be your primary contact, and they will be involved in academic guidance. They will help organize all of your deadlines for your applications. They will be involved in editing your essays, reviewing your applications, and finalizing all of your work for your applications as well. So again, your college counselor is going to be your primary contact. You can email them. They will answer all your emails, questions, and concerns as well, because they can give you the best information because they know the students the best, and they can provide detailed information on your student's specific situation. The branch director will approve all final college lists. So as I know, many of you are working on some college research right now. We will have final lists to be approved later on in the application cycle. That will be the job of the branch director. They will lead college application seminars, oversee all applications at the branch to make sure that they're all going according to plan. And as well, they will meet with all counselors at the branch to check up on the progress of all the students. So we have a two-tiered solution to the application process here. Thank you. Essay editors. We have several essay editors, and they are specialty team members who are particularly involved with the essay editing process. As you'll see later on in the presentation, we're going to host essay editing workshops once a week for students, and essay editors will be running these workshops, working with your students in all processes of the essay editing, in all processes of the essays, including a little bit of brainstorming activities with your students, and as well as polishing up the essays once the students write the essays. They work closely with the college counselor, and the college counselor will then finalize all the essays and put a final approval on the essays. The branch management team is also here to look after our students. So they are monitoring all student attendance through our applications. So they're making sure that no students fall through or miss appointments, or even miss deadlines. They will help the college counselors enforce YSI deadlines. So we have very tight deadlines for the application process to ensure that all of our students submit stellar applications to their colleges. And the branch management team will contact the family if any of our students fall behind. So we will notify the family of any missed attendances or of any concerns in the academic or college application process. Thank you. Okay, so I know you can't see the top here, but who do I contact with any issues, right? So first, address the issue directly with your college counselor. Again, they're going to have the most specific information on your student or on the students. So they would be the primary point of contact. Again, they know the student best, and the families and the counselors need a strong working relationship to support the students and your children the best that we can. Step two, if there are any problems, you can contact our branch management assistants, and they can bring the issue to the attention of the branch manager, branch director, or any of these multi-tiered solutions that we have to help you. But again, most problems are simple miscommunication, so please be sure to follow up with your counselor first and work out the problem if there is one, in order to ensure a speedy solution. Okay. Okay, so where are we? Oh, here's all of our application seminars. So right now we're doing the, I think I have a pointer. Let me point. We're doing the Intro to App Season seminar right now. The UC and Common Application Seminar will come later in the semester, as well as the CSU Application Seminar. So we have specific seminars for each of those two groups of colleges. Later on, once the applications are primarily finalized, we're going to have interview training and a financial aid seminar later on in the season. So again, your participation in these seminars is mandatory unless you're excused by your counselor, because we go over just so much general information about the application process in these, and we will have specialized ones again for the UC, Common App, and CSU application. Okay, yes, so we want all of the parents to be in the picture as well. So how can the parents learn about their children and our students' college application process? First, please attend the college counseling meetings if you'd like. You can help your student brag about, or your child brag about themselves, or give us additional information about them. We can fill you in on where they're at with the college application process. Again, you can also email us, email your child's college counselor. They'll be able to get back to you during our working hours. You can ask to receive an email or phone updates from your counselor or the management, and you can also call the management branch and they can answer any questions that you have. But again, we just want you to know that you don't have to worry. We will contact you if we're worried about your student's progress, right? But we also want you to be involved in the process, so you can come to us as well. Okay, so the senior plan meeting, I've been starting the senior plan meetings a little bit now in May with my students, and this will also continue on into June. So these are really like some of the most important meetings for our students here at YSI. In these meetings, we're going to cover a semifinal list of colleges. So really ensuring that our students are researching all of the colleges that they want to go to. I've been doing a preliminary GPA calculation with my students so they know what colleges they're on track with. So really, creating a semifinal college list, and we'll talk about balancing the list later in the seminar, but that's one of the key themes of our May and June meetings. An updated admission strategy. So again, we'll talk about intended major and application major and what that all means for your admission strategy. And this is going to depend on your goals of, if you want to get into a higher tier college, or if you have very specific interest in your specific major. Again, an updated test and GPA strategy. So as most of you know, the UC schools are still test blind, so they're not requiring the SAT. For many of the top tier private schools, the SAT is not many, I would say maybe about half actually of the top tiered schools, the SAT is still required, or the ACT is still required. So again, working with your counselor to see which schools require the SAT, ACT, and using that in your application strategy is again one of the main topics of the May-June meetings, as well as GPA strategy. So last efforts to boost that GPA as high as possible for the admission cycle. Again, I've been planning to do this in my June meetings, but the college essay brainstorming is coming up. So this is a really critical part because students will be working on their essays over the summer. So really just identifying those key activities or key pivotal moments in their life, in their high school career, is something that we'll be working on. And letters of recommendation. So again, students will not formally ask for letters of recommendation until the fall. However, it's good to notify your junior instructors now, just so they keep you in mind and are prepared to write you a letter in the fall, right? Because most universities are going to be looking for at least one junior year instructor that has worked with the student for a prolonged period of time. So if you can notify them now, that could help increase the strength of your letter of recommendation from that instructor. Just going to take a sip of tea. So in the May meetings and the June meetings, we want to start to ask our students what is most important to them in a college that they're looking to attend. So a lot of students really choose this overall ranking, and that's a good strategy. So getting into the highest tier college that the student can attend. Other students are very interested in location. We have a lot of students who want to stay local to Southern California and others who are willing to go anywhere in the US. Focusing on major offerings. So is the college that you want to attend really strong in your intended major? Do they have a good program? Or do they have good extracurriculars that can really give you the edge in finding a career after your university experience? Are there internship opportunities, or does the college support internship opportunities for credit? Is another consideration. Does the college have study abroad programs? I do know that employers look really highly on study abroad programs for the job market as well. So considering study abroad programs in your college research is a good strategy. And then the cost of tuition, which this one is pretty obvious. So again, it's important to discuss your goals as a family and share them with your counselor so your counselor can provide you the best individualized advice and attention for your specific goals. So again, when you're doing your major research, these are some really good ways, some really good topics to consider. I would also maybe add size of college, whether you do well in small liberal arts schools or large universities, which we'll cover later in the presentation. Yeah. It's okay. Okay, so what are the common and pretty general application materials? So the first application material is the letter of recommendation. So to get a strong letter of recommendation, it's recommended that you actually know your instructor that you're asking for this letter of recommendation for more than one class. Maybe you've taken 2 classes with this instructor. Maybe they are, the leader of an organization or the moderator of an organization at your high school. Maybe you just did something phenomenal in one of their classes that they can really brag about in your letter of recommendation. So really considering the highest strength letter of recommendation is going to be important. You want to choose letter writers who you're participating in their classes and doing well in their classes, which I think is a given. And it's really important to approach your letter writers as well. So your letter writers might not know a whole lot about you outside of the classroom. So staying for a few extra minutes after class and introducing yourself or telling the teacher what you're doing outside of the class is a really good strategy to sort of be on their radar, and then you can give them a brag sheet with all of your information in the fall of your senior year to get a very strong letter of recommendation. Standardized testing. Again, this is a really unique situation this year still because a lot of schools have extended this test optional or test blind policy since the pandemic. So which tests do you still need to take? When is the best time to take them? What is your goal score and range for the colleges that you're interested in? Again, taking these tests, if you score higher than the equivalent GPA, this can really boost your chances of getting into a higher school. So again, the SATs can still be used as a way to boost your application. Major support. So remember that the major on your application is a strategy. You may change your major once you're accepted into a university. So a lot of students think that the only major that they should choose is the major that they're most interested in. And sometimes that is the best strategy for that student. But the major on your application is a strategy in itself. There's going to be majors that are harder to get into. Computer science, business are examples of these majors, engineering, sometimes biology, chemistry, nursing, etc. So again, if your goal is to get into the highest tier school possible, choosing a major can be a really good strategy to boost your chances of being accepted into a higher tier school. Major and major support. So again, colleges are going to look that you have support for your major on your application. So if you want to get into a good school, it's not going to be recommended that you choose, say, let me think of a really low impacted major, English, if you have no support for English, right? If your grades for English aren't good in your high school, you don't want to choose English as your major if you don't have support for it. So what support for a major looks like is doing well in that major in your high school classes and doing extracurriculars or personal projects related to that major as well. So this is a good point to ponder. What can you still do with regards to your major and major support that can make your application stronger over the summer? So our YSI, our counselors, and our team here are going to carefully consider majors for applications that will maximize your chances for acceptance. So your counselors in particular can look through your children and students' applications, and they can give you advice on potential majors that your children can choose for better acceptance rates into the university. Again, students can easily switch majors once enrolled. Again, there's some exceptions, and I'm not going to say more about this because there's a whole slide on this in just a moment. But some popular so-called majors do not really exist. So again, there are no pre-law, pre-medicine majors. Students often major in history or biology or chemistry in order to go to law school or med school. Oh, this is working now. Fantastic. Okay, so impacted majors. So again, when we talked about choosing your major as a strategy, the technical term for this is impacted majors, right? So those impacted majors, again, are computer science, engineering, business. So again, impacted majors, UPenn's the Wharton School of Business, UC Berkeley, engineering is very impacted. The biological science recently at UCSD and UCI are becoming more and more impacted. An example number 2, Carnegie Mellon in 2016, their overall regular admissions acceptance rate was 22%, but in the School of Computer Science, their acceptance rate was 7%. So choosing your major can have a really big effect on your chances of admission to different universities. As you see this difference in 15% here between Carnegie Mellon generally and Carnegie Mellon Computer Science. So it's a very big difference.
英才那个地方，大学申请开会，
Okay, so what is the university? So now I'm going to talk a little bit about switching majors with regards to your application major and this strategy. So the university is the entire school itself, and it will be made of a bunch of different colleges within the school. So music, business, engineering, arts and science, law, and medicine. Within each of these colleges, there's dozens of different majors. So for example, College of Arts and Science, we have from biology to anthropology to sociology. Sometimes art is in the school as well. It really depends on each individual school. The colleges at each university are set up and organized differently. So the majors in the colleges are not uniform across schools. So this is why your college research comes in really important when you're talking about application strategy for your major. So switching majors is going to be easy if they're in the same college. So uniquely enough, switching from political science to biology, if they're both in the College of Arts and Sciences, is sometimes as easy as just signing a paper. But switching between colleges can be more difficult and is not necessarily guaranteed. So again, if you want to switch into, for instance, a business major, oftentimes this will involve taking the prerequisite business classes and doing well in them, and sort of doing a mini application into the major at the university. It's not unheard of it's not, the difficulty depends on the major. So it is somewhat still likely that the student will be able to switch schools, but it is an application process and it is a chance that you need to factor in when you're thinking about which major you want to apply under. Okay, so this is a really important piece here. So how do you balance a college list, right? So good college lists are balanced. We want to give our students the highest chance of being accepted into, having a lot of choices when the decisions come out, right? So a good list of colleges should include 2 to 3 dream schools, right? You want to take your chance here. You want to do all that you can and know that you've done all that you can to get to your dream schools. You want to include good reach schools, target schools that are right in your range, lined up with your GPA and SAT scores. And then you also want to include 2 to 3 safety schools, right? So this is going to involve a little bit of research. Which safety schools would you like to go to, just in case? So again, having this balanced college list will give you the most acceptances and have the most choices at the end of the college application cycle. Again, the more broad your range, the more likely you are to receive acceptances. Okay, so this is the part when I was talking about college research, what are your interests in a school? So here is another interest that some students focus on when they're doing their college research again. So the difference between a research university and a liberal arts college. So research universities will include PhD programs, MA programs, MFA programs, MBA, JD, MD, right? So when you're thinking of research universities, you can think of generally the UC system. These are large schools. They have a large student body from 5,000 to 50,000 plus. They do have a strong reliance on the TA system. So the TA system is when graduate students will teach sections of the class, right? The class sizes in these research universities will be lecture style classes with a few hundred students in them. And then the students will break apart and have a section with a TA who is usually a graduate student who leads that section and oftentimes will be the primary person in charge of grading your students' work as well. So the students have more direct access with the TA than the professor at the larger research institutions. The research universities often have very good names and very good name recognition. So that is one pro of the research universities. They are often located in or near cities. And these are distinguished from the liberal arts colleges. And the liberal arts colleges generally only offer undergraduate degrees, so BA, BS. Again, this isn't a hard and fast rule. Some of them will offer a few master's programs as well. They generally have a smaller student body, approximately 2,000 students, and the professors are going to teach the majority of classes at these universities. So the class sizes will generally be much smaller, about 50 students, and the professor will be working with you and grading your work. So really, for the students, I want to say, take into account your learning style and what you might prefer. Again, these are often located in suburban areas. An example of a liberal arts college nearby would be the Claremont colleges, right? So Pitzer, Pomona, they have much smaller class sizes and the professors teach all of the classes basically. So there's some myths about liberal arts colleges. So the first myth is that they're not good for graduate school. And obviously this is not true because it's a myth. The reality is that matriculation percentages of top liberal arts colleges and top universities are often very similar. So if you look at medical school admissions at Amherst College, 79% of applicants accepted to med school on first try. At UPenn, 83% of applicants accepted to med school on first try. So these percentages are very close to one another. So just because Amherst College maybe isn't as widely known nationally as UPenn, they still have really good acceptance rates into med schools, and they have really good local reputations and just reputations generally inside of academia. So myth number 2, obviously this is false. Liberal arts colleges have less money for financial aid, student organizations, and activities. So again, right, the myth sort of goes, the big schools are going to have a bunch of different clubs and a bunch of money for research. But actually the reverse is often true. So if you look at, this is 2012, fundraising dollars per student enrolled, Harvard and Princeton are having, roughly $30,000, $30,000, $31,000. And Amherst College, a liberal arts college, is having $36 per student. So again, there may not be as much of a breadth at these schools, but they are well funded and they have extremely good programs, right? As we know, Pomona is in College Selection Group 1, so they are really good schools. Okay, so then UCs versus private schools. So this is another consideration when you're doing your college research. And private schools really just vary. So there's not going to be like a hard and fast distinguishing factor between those. But you have to consider things like class size, ability to participate in research as an undergraduate. And this is unique to each individual university and sometimes even each individual major in that university. So how much research is available at the school. Access to research facilities. Again, do not assume that the UCs or the CSUs will automatically be less expensive than private colleges. I was talking to a family just earlier, and they mentioned that some of the state schools out of state are actually reasonably priced as well. So when assessing cost, make sure to consider factors such as merit scholarships and financial aid. So look into the financial aid at the school if they have any merit-based scholarships at the school, and also send in your FAFSA. Never assume that you won't qualify for aid. Use online calculators to estimate financial aid if attendance cost is a concern. So again, if cost of college is a concern, let your counselor know. So then they can help you make the best decisions with regards to your college list and your applications list. But again, there are still chances of merit scholarships and financial aid if you get into your dream school. So UC financial aid, again, this will come, we'll go over more detail of this. This is a little bit early to talk about financial aid. This comes later in the application cycle. But again, if you're trying to get an idea of how much college will cost and what colleges will afford, if that affects your college decision, you can go to the UC financial aid calculator and just search this, and they will give you an estimate of the financial aid that you'll be able to receive at the UC schools. So again, for all of these reasons, it's really important to do your college research now, so you have a solid list of schools and a wide breadth of acceptances in the fall that you're happy with, and you can make a really solid decision then. So again, doing your college research now will really set you up for success in the spring. And it's not early to start researching. Now is the time. Okay, so you can also use your college meeting notes. There is a college tab that I plan to go over with my students in June. And this college tab will be your, preliminary college selection group. Under the college tab, it has reach schools, target schools, safety schools, basically. There's 5 groups. So we'll go through and make sure that each of our students have a balanced list there. But for now, students are really looking over that college selection group with their counselors in the May meetings. Again, ways that you could do research. So there's the Fifth Guide, which is a book, Princeton Review, Niche, and the US news reports are really good online resources. You could do college campus tours, college websites or virtual tours, mailing lists, admissions officer fall visits, friends, family, and us here at YSI. Again, if you go on to the US News, they also have top schools by major. They also have top schools by major on niche. So these are really important guides for you if you want to get into a top school in your major that's well respected in that major as well. So you can talk to that with your college counselor. Okay, so I'm sure you're all familiar with the college counseling meeting notes by now. You've reviewed these with your counselors for as long as you've been with us. So again, the first page is your profile. Your awards and activities page, that's going to be important when college applications are being finalized. We will use your activities, and you'll refine your descriptions for those activities on your college essay organizer, right? So having a list, if you've done anything recently, let your college counselor know so they can update your activities page so it's easy for you to fill out those sections on your applications once the time comes. Again, college research. So we already talked about the selection groups and the college research tab, and things you might want to consider when you're doing your college research. Then we'll have a colleges I'm applying to. So we'll have a final list of colleges that you're applying to midsummer. And then we'll also have a login organizer. So we'll want all of the logins to your application so we can check on your progress for you and just make sure that everything's filled out. Or if you send us an email and you have a question, we can go in and answer that question for you pretty easily. Okay, so final lists. So once you're students, after they do their college research, so right now we're doing preliminary college research, the final list will be due to the YSI counselors and the YSI management team. So once your final list has been turned in, you cannot add or remove schools from this list unless you pay the agreed upon penalty cost. So again, we do this for your advantage, mostly because the sooner you can get started on the applications, the better. The more you know about which colleges you want to go to, the better. This really actually increases your chances of being admitted to the schools because they also want to see that you know about the universities. A lot of times these schools will have essays on why do you want to go to our college, right? So the more research you do now, the less you'll be worried later on when you have to answer these essays for your college application, right? You won't be in a rush later. So make sure you go through your research now and find out your interests at these schools now. And this will also help us finalize our list. It's to your advantage. And we can start really creating a very strong strategy for you. So we need that time to create that very strong strategy for you. Again, this also ensures that you maximize your chances at each school. So again, we also need to protect ourselves. Changing schools last minute hurts your chances and makes it difficult for us to stand behind our results. So again, the more you know about these colleges, the stronger your applications will be. Time for essays. This is my favorite part. I'm really excited to work with you on the essays as well. So how much will you have to write? So again, YSI students often end up writing 20 plus essays that often equal 15 to 25 pages in length. So this is a really big commitment, right? These essays are just really intensive, and they're not just like simple essays that you're going to write for a class, right? You're going to have to articulate yourself and your values, where you succeeded, maybe what you learned in your high school career. So these essays are really intensive. Again, we're here to support you in brainstorming and helping you articulate your strengths and learn your strengths. And we're also here to help you edit the essays once you have them written. So again, we're here to support you. It's a daunting task, but it's a really rewarding task. You know, students can learn about themselves this way as well. So again, your college counselors, along with our team of essay editors, will be helping you to choose the topics, develop strong responses, and to finalize all essay material. So students must attend one essay workshop each week. And I just want to say, you know, when students begin writing these essays, it's better to write more than less. We often end up editing them down. We want to fit in as much information as we can in the spaces. So again, I just want to highlight like how intensive of a process this is, right? Once you just finish the essay, usually there's several rounds of edits before it's a finalized essay. So this is going to be a process that we work with you through. Again, obviously, we're not going to write your essays. We will not provide full-length templates for you to fill in, and we will not elevate your essays past your writing level. The students will write all application materials, including essays, on their designated YSI documents only, right? So this is the document to write your essays on is in your senior folder. So we will only edit your senior folder document on the college essay organizer for you. We will do suggesting, and we will make comments for further information from the students in order to build the essays. So again, you'll be in charge of writing those, and then we'll give you suggestions to strengthen them as you go. Again, parents, teachers, siblings, and friends may not have access to these documents and may not directly edit any essays on these documents, but obviously you can go to your parents and friends for advice, and you can copy over your drafts to us onto the document. We have a zero tolerance plagiarism policy. Obviously, we have a very strong commitment to academic integrity. So we will not review, edit, or finalize any essays or application materials that are not 100% written by our students, right? So again, you can brainstorm with your family and friends, but you have to do all of the writing yourself. There's no set number of reviews or drafts. For some students, they get the hang of it really quickly. Other students need a little bit more time. So essay editing is going to be ongoing, and it's up to your college counselor to decide when an essay is ready to finalize. Okay, so essay feedback. Again, trust us. We are the experts with this. We have really good opinions and judgments, and we really want to help you succeed as best we can. We have a lot of factual information and artifacts of students' writing, and we know where they got into, right? So we know what these colleges are looking for in terms of essays. So please trust our judgment and our opinions. We really are trying to elevate you and we really are trying to help you and get you into the best colleges that you can get into. Our guidance might be a little bit different from what a teacher, sibling, or friend who got accepted may recommend. Again, no, we've been in this business for a long time, and we have really solid reasons for recommending our essay edits. So again, pay attention to your deadlines. This is going to be really important. As I said, getting in those first drafts is not what you want to do right before the deadline, right? You want to have quite a few edits before the deadline is done. So make sure that you are paying attention to your deadlines and you're prioritizing essay writing throughout the week, every week, or you will fall behind. Again, your first draft doesn't have to be perfect, right? We just want you to get something down and get started, and we'll go from there. Okay, what is a supplement? So a lot of the private schools use the Common Application, right? And on the Common Application, I'm sure you all know that there's a personal statement, which is the large essay portion of the Common Application. This part of the application will be sent to all of the schools that you apply to that use the Common App. A supplement is any application essay beyond the personal statement required by a college. So the most common supplements are a why college essay, right? Why did you choose our college? What about our college stands out to you? Another essay is quite often a why major essay. So this is why having evidence for your major is so important. A lot of schools will actually ask you to write an essay on why you chose your intended major. Again, some supplements may be quite time consuming. I actually think we have a few examples, so I'm going to wait for the next slides to talk about those. And supplements could differ dependent on what major you intend to choose, right? So you need to select your major on the Common App, and if you choose certain majors, additional supplements will pop up there. So again, there could be quite a few supplements to the Common App application. Does every college have a supplement? No. So this is a really good thing. Not all colleges have supplements. You may not have to write additional essays for each college outside of the personal statement. It's really on a case-by-case basis. Okay, yes, here's some of the types of essays. So the personal statement, right? This is the one that goes on the Common App. This is really an extremely important essay because it's going to be put on all of the applications that you apply to through the Common App. So you really want this to be a very strong piece of writing. You want it to represent who you are as a student and academic to the utmost. Again, keys are to write about what matters to you, not what you think colleges want to hear. So now more than ever, many students have the stats to get into these competitive schools. And so these competitive schools have moved to a strategy of really choosing individuals as well, right? And this is for private schools for the most part. So, you know, you don't necessarily want to write what you think matters to the university, like, oh, write an essay on how I got all straight A's, right? Because the university might want to know that. No, actually what the university wants to know is about you and what makes you a unique applicant to them. What can you bring to the school and what can you bring to the table? So unique experiences, perspectives, skills, or interests, as well as maybe formative experiences or lessons learned. These will be seen by all schools, private UCs, etc. So the UC Insight essays are where students pick 4 of 8 prompts to respond. These are generally shorter than the personal statement, and they cover a breadth of activities. So generally we have a strategy where we want students to talk about 4 different things in these essays, right? The schools don't want to hear the same thing in each essay. So you should have 4 unique experiences that you want to talk about in the UC essays. They can cover things like activities, volunteering, a personal project, maybe overcoming your grades. Some students write about that in their UC essays as well. So there's a lot of different ways that you could take these UC insights, but you want to cover a breadth of information about yourself throughout the entire UC Insight packet. Activity essays. So this is outside of the activity section. So you'll have a section on the applications to put in your activities and your volunteer work and your awards. But sometimes there's an activity essay. So they'll directly ask you, you know, what was an important extracurricular activity that is meaningful to you? Sometimes they'll ask a mix between an activity essay and a why major essay. So they'll say something like, you know, can you explain an extracurricular activity that really helped you decide that you want to do this X major? So there's also variations of these mixed together. But here, this is one main theme. An additional main theme that I mentioned before is the why major essay, right? So this is why it's so important when you're choosing your application major that you have evidence for your application major, because especially for the private schools, this why major essay is going to be a big determining factor of acceptance. So again, this is going to demonstrate your academic passion, your academic preparation. You could talk about your clubs, activities, research, classwork, summers, or a mix of all of those things and how they relate to your interests, how they make you have a unique perspective on your major. And you can also connect yourself to the specific program at each school. And I highly recommend that students do this. So if you're interested, say, in public health, right? Research on maybe an activity that the public health department is doing at the campus that you want to go to, and mention how that connects to your activities and to your preparation. That can really help students go the extra mile. And then I also mentioned the why college essay, right? So here, as you see again, sometimes the why major is a little bit connected to the why college, right? When you're talking about the specific program, but these are the main types. So the why college essay, and you want to prove why college X is your number one choice. And this is very important. Hint, in essays, they're all your number one choice. I can't highlight that enough, right? You want to show your enthusiasm for all of the colleges that you apply to. So when you're writing your essays, they're all your number one choice, right? Because you want to go to all the schools that you picked. So definitely highlight your enthusiasm for them. So again, do your research. This is why doing your research now is so important. But because once the essays come around, you'll be prepared for them. You can talk about unique, specific factors. The more specific and genuine you are, the stronger the essay will be. Maybe there's an instructor who teaches something that you're really interested in, or an instructor who's doing research that you're really interested in. Maybe there's just research opportunities in a field that you really want to go into. Or maybe they have a connection with an industry, a particular industry that you want to get into. So these are all really good pieces of the Why College essay. Again, I can't say this enough. I'm sure that all of our students will do this at one point, but I just want to highlight, try not to do this. Colleges don't want to hear generalizations, so it is sort of a new style of writing for you. You want to be as specific as possible in your essays, right? You want to use economy of language and say as much as you can in a very small space. So saying generalizations don't mean that much. You want to talk about unique, specific factors that relate to you and why you're interested in that school in these essays. Again, this is also really important. Do not say I want to go to this school because it's highly ranked. Be more specific than that, right? They want a genuine answer of why you want to go to that school, not just because it's highly ranked or you'll get rich from going to the school or whatever. Again, like, be genuine and focus on your interests and how they relate to the school. Creative supplements. So these are, well, sometimes some of the most difficult types of essays for students. They can really be a place to show your humor, creativity, and unique character. These for me can actually be some of the most fun essay responses, because you definitely want to relate it academically a little bit, but you have like such a breadth of creativity. So if you're a particularly creative student or a creative writer, these might be the prompts for you. So let me just read one from University of Chicago. The mantis shrimp can perceive both polarized light and multispectral images. They have the most complex eyes in the animal kingdom. Human eyes have color receptors for 3 colors, red, green, and blue. The mantis shrimp has receptors for 16 types of color, enabling them to see a spectrum far beyond the capacity of the human brain. So what might the mantis shrimp be able to see that we cannot see? What are we missing? Right, so you can see these are really creative. Maybe if you're type A personality, a little bit stressful for you. But again, University of Chicago is one of those universities that is really going to highly rank your essay responses. So these essays could really make or break you if your stats are doing it for you. So again, this is something to look forward to. Not all schools have the creative supplements, though. These are a lot more rare than the other types of essays. Okay, so essay facts. Trust your counselor. They will not finalize an essay unless it is ready. We do this every year. We know what works. We know what doesn't work. We're only responsible for the essays and applications that its counselors finalize. If you choose not to follow your counselor's advice or change an essay after it's been finalized, we are not responsible for that application. And I think this is pretty straightforward. So APSEs and deadlines. These deadlines are not suggestions. You're expected to meet all of our deadlines to remain in good standing and receive the most support from YSI. So again, we have really hard deadlines here, and that's because an application isn't a strong application if you're just racing to finish it, right? We want to finesse your applications. We want to make sure everything is in its place. So we have very strong deadlines so we can stand behind our work for you. We also provide incentives for students who are doing all of their work and meeting all of their deadlines, right? We will eventually double up in counseling meetings in the fall, and I'll talk about that in a moment. So again, we also provide incentives for meeting your deadlines in terms of completing your essays, going to essay workshops, and what have you. But we also have strong deadlines for the applications as well. Again, your counselor may create more specific deadlines for you after your final list has been approved. This may be because you've chosen a lot of colleges that require many essays, right? So if your counselor gives you a deadline that's sooner than the YSI general deadline, please follow your counselor's deadline. They're giving you the best advice on your specific situation in order to complete a well-rounded application. Okay, so here we are. So senior contracts, we're going to hand these out during this meeting. So now is a good time to sign those and get those out of the way. June 6th, our official app season starts. July 1st, the semifinal list of colleges is going to be due. And September 1st, the final list of colleges is due and signed. Again, over the summer, we generally work on the UC essays and the Common App essay, but having a better idea of your schools earlier is going to be really to your advantage. So really getting your college research done and your semifinal list due will really help ease your workload in the fall when you have a bunch of courses to take as well. Let me see, where was I? In October, week 1, the first week of October, we're going to submit all CSU applications, right? These are less intensive than a lot of the others. So we'll have a specific seminar on the CSU applications as we come closer to that date. October 15th, where's my pointer? October 15th, we're going to have the EA/ED applications, drafts completed and finalized. I don't know if it's in this PowerPoint, but it will be in your senior packet and in your senior contract. We highly recommend that each student chooses one EA or ED application. And I'll go over why in just a moment. It might be in a slide. If not, I'll go over it when I go over the packet. But this just gives the student a better chance of getting into that school. And there are many varied strategies on which school to choose to apply EA or ED. So I'll go over those in just a moment. Again, October week 3, submit all UC applications. And then November 15th to 21st, we're going to finalize and submit all remaining work. So this will be all your additional private school applications that could involve additional supplements here. We'll have Thanksgiving break on the week of November 22nd, and December 1st is the official end of our application season, and all our applications will be submitted, right? We don't want you to submit last minute at the end of the deadline. We want you to have a confident and prepared application before the deadline. So let me tell you a little bit more about early applications. So the EA is the early action application. And the early action application has some restrictions. You can apply to as many EA schools as you'd like, no limit. You hear your admission decision sooner, but are not required to attend. So as I think it's more, I think it's the notion is pretty widespread that if you apply early, you have to attend, but that's not the case for every single early application, right? So the EA is a good option if you don't want your decision to be binding. You might not want your decision to be binding for a few reasons, maybe financial aid or other reasons. If you apply early decision, you may apply to one college early decision, but you can also apply to other colleges early action or regular decision. You hear your admissions decision sooner, but are required to attend, right? So if you get into this ED school, that means you must attend that school. It needs to be your top choice school to apply ED. If you are accepted ED, you must immediately withdraw all other pending applications, right? And this will also be, that's actually all I need to say. So there's also single choice restricted early action, SCEA or REA, and these schools will allow you to only apply to their college under any early policy. So it's sort of like early action, but it has restrictions instead of not having restrictions, right? So this is another variety of early application. You'll hear your decision sooner, but you're not required to attend. But you can only apply to one school early, whereas in early action you can apply to several. ED2 is the fourth kind of types of early application, and you're still required to attend if you are accepted, but you submit your application later. So the deadline is not until mid-December, early January, but this application is binding. So ED2 is binding, ED is binding, early action is not binding, and some early actions restrict you only apply to one school as early action. And this will vary from private school to private school. So this is a good part of your college research as well when you're deciding if there's any early schools that you want to apply to. And we highly recommend that you apply to at least one early. There are a couple types of early applications. So a rolling application is first come, first served. I know a lot of our seniors are familiar with the rolling application through the summer programs. A lot of the summer programs are also rolling applications. meaning that the sooner that you submit the application, the better your chance of admission. There's also priority preferred admissions. So this is usually an earlier deadline. Schools will give your application a closer look, but there's no binding admissions agreement. So again, this is a deadline where if you submit before their general deadline, you'll get a little bit of preferential treatment, right? It's not a rolling deadline where the earlier submit, first come, first serve. But there are schools that have some priority deadlines. And especially for those schools that are just slightly above your target, the priority preferred admissions deadline is a good way to get a closer look from those schools on your application. And lastly, scholarship deadlines. So if you're at all interested in scholarships, you should submit for these deadlines. So again, you should submit for the earliest rolling or the earliest priority if you're interested from a scholarship from that school. The scholarships are always given on a first come, first serve basis. So the earlier you get your application in, the more chance you have of getting a bigger scholarship. This is very important if you care about money and tuition. We all know that college is very expensive. And if you do not submit by the scholarship deadline, you may not be eligible for scholarships if you apply later. So again, all this is to say deadlines are very important in your college application process. There will be varying college deadlines. Some will be earlier, some will be later. And we recommend you submit as early as possible and submit to at least one of these early application types. I know this is a little bit overwhelming. I'm seeing your faces, but your counselors can also go over this in more detail with you. Okay, this is a little bit more confusing part of the seminar. Okay, so there's some advantages to applying early. So there's a smaller applicant pool in applying early, right? So not as many people are going to want to apply to a school that only allows you to apply to one school early, right? So there'll just be less people applying in these applicant pools. It also demonstrates commitment to that college, right? So it shows that you want to go to that school. If you apply early, you can be accepted early in December and take some pressure off of your other, applications, right? You already know where you're going. You don't have to think about it anymore. And likely it'll be one of your good fit schools, right? One of the top schools that you want to go to. Again, here's some statistics to really drive home this point. So statistically, applying early can offer a much higher rate of acceptance. So if you look at the example of Cornell, their regular decision acceptance was 12.3, whereas their early acceptance decision was 27.7, right? So again, these application pools might be smaller. They also might be a little bit more competitive, but they're accepting a larger number of students, right? By over double. So that's a huge difference. Again, we see with Pomona accepting over double of the percent of students early decision than regular decision. So this is a really good application strategy to get into your top schools, but it also could be a really good application strategy to get into a good fit school for you as well. Just like I mentioned, there can be some disadvantages to applying early, so more people are getting accepted, but sometimes it's a more competitive applicant pool. Sometimes early spots are reserved for legacy students and student athletes at some schools. So it might be if your top school is a school that you are a legacy student at, that might be a good application approach for you. You don't get to impress with high first semester senior grades or extracurricular accomplishments. This one's really important. If you really need those high first semester senior grades to boost your application, applying early is going to be a little bit different or a little bit of a disadvantage, but it could still be a good strategy depending on your specific file. Again, if you apply ED, you do not get to see financial aids awarded before deciding whether or not to attend. So if money is a huge deciding factor for you, this binding ED might be a little bit difficult because you don't know what your financial aid award is for that school. It may be a better strategy to apply early action or restricted early action for you. So if you get accepted in early action or restricted early action or a priority deadline, you still have until May 1st to decide whether or not you want to attend that school. You can still apply to other colleges and compare your offers. And you must send updated first semester grades. So even if you're applying early, your first semester grades are still going to matter, right? Don't just apply early and say, I'm going to forget my senior year. If you apply early, your senior year grades are still going to matter. There's no getting around that. if you're accepted early decision, right? Remember, early decision is the binding one. You are contracted to attend the university, and you must immediately withdraw all of your other college applications. So again, this is a really good option if you're sure about the school, if your financials allow for you to be sure about that school, and you still must send your updated first semester grades, and you'll be binded and you'll be done with your application process. There's some other early application outcomes, so you can be deferred. So sometimes you don't get accepted early, or you don't get accepted ED, which is the binding offer, and they will defer you to the regular application pool, right? And you'll find out your final decision in the spring with all of the other students who apply to that university. And then you can also be not accepted. So you can be denied admission, and your application will not be reconsidered with the regular applicant pool. Yes. So this is important, right? I already said the ED application is binding. You must withdraw your other applications. So again, if you don't withdraw your other applications, some universities can blacklist future applicants from your school. So there are really strong consequences to not going to the ED school that you apply to. So again, you have to be really careful in this decision and make sure that it's the college that's right for you, and make sure you're ready to commit to that college when you apply ED. Again, we strongly encourage each of our students to apply to at least one university EAED. Again, you do not only apply early to your dream schools. Applying EA or priority to schools that are target reach schools is a strong strategy. You know, just it might give you the edge to get into those slight reach schools. So again, listen to your counselor's advice. They'll have access to all of your information and grades and extracurriculars, and they can help you make the best decision for your specific situation. Okay, so this is what I was talking about, meeting all of our deadlines. So we offer priority status to our seniors who meet all of their deadlines. This includes coming to the counseling meetings, and this includes all essay deadlines and essay editing workshops. So if you are meeting your deadlines, following instructions, maintaining consistent contact with your counselor and Wi-Fi management team, then you'll remain in priority status. Again, if you choose to neglect your admissions work and not respond to my counselors and Wi-Fi managers' attempts to contact me, your counselor is not obligated to prioritize your application materials. And this could result in longer wait periods, especially when it's peak season for essay editing. We can get busy with those sometimes, and we're on top of them. But again, you really want to be in the priority status to make sure you're at the top of the pile and, you know, just doing all that you can to get into your dream schools. Again, furthermore, if you repeatedly neglect your work, we can't stand by our guarantee of finalization of all of your application materials by the college admissions deadline. So I'm sure this is going to be none of you. You're all here, you're all active. But just a reminder, stay on top of your deadlines. And if you stay in priority status, you will get 2 counselor meetings in the fall, so we can really help you through this process even better, okay? Again, just don't be missing in action. You don't want to have MIA status, right? We want to help you. We want you to be here. So this is for students who we haven't been able to contact for 30 days. And again, they're not guaranteed to meet the final application deadlines for colleges. So again, we will contact you if the parents, if the students are missing any meetings, we will be on top of this. But please get back to us as soon as we contact you. We want you to stay in good standing. We don't want you to miss any deadlines. And this is, you know, depending on when you return to Wi-Fi, you know, you may not be eligible to have the one-on-one primary counseling if those all fill up. So just stay in good standing with us, and we are here to help you through every part of this application process. Okay. Again, just another brief parents what to do, right? To know what's going on with your child. I know a lot of you are actively involved in your children's application process. Take an active interest in the process. Discuss colleges, majors, and careers with your child. You too might be able to give them advice about some majors that you had or your career as well. Offer encouragement and support. The process can be stressful for students. Don't make this sound like a chore. So just be really supportive, be there for them, and just provide a good environment for them to get all of their work done. Help keep them on track. So encourage them to minimize time on the computer and watching TV or playing video games, right? This is important, especially for a senior year. This is a critical time in your adult life. So do communicate with us. Let us know of any concerns. Stay informed of your students' deadlines and discuss issues directly with your student's primary counselor. Again, we're here for you and we're here to walk you through this entire process. Okay, parents, what not to do. I know this is a really stressful time, and like I know everyone just wants everyone to get into the best school that we can, right? So we're doing everything that we can. But again, let your child be the one to contact the teachers and counselors and colleges themselves. I personally find with my students that this builds leadership skills for the students. It helps them become more outgoing and more personable. It will help with those soft skills for the jobs later in life. So really try and allow them to be as independent as possible. Again, right, on the converse side, if you go to the schools like the colleges or, letter writers of your children, they could actually hurt their chances of getting into the schools with this behavior, right? They don't want to deal with somebody who's going to be aggressive or pushy. So please don't contact college admissions offices directly. Colleges want to see the students address them and email them and send in their own letters. So again, let your students be independent, or let your children be independent here. And again, with editing essays or applications, again, you have really good information to support your children and help them with brainstorming. But we are the experts, and we do have really good advice. We have a lot of information on application statistics and essay editing. So we're here to help you. I know it can be hard to step back and see, and it can be hard for like the parents to step back and see the application objectively, right? So we can be a fresh set of eyes on the application for your kids. We are also really well versed in strategy for admissions and applications. So this is really what we do. So just come to us with any concerns, but we do have a handle on all of this, even though it's probably one of the most stressful processes. I know that you're probably stressed out right now, but we're here to help. Okay, students, your responsibilities. So time management is really critical at this point. I know with working with a lot of you, it's SATs coming, summer programs coming, summer college classes coming, right? It's not going to really slow down. Senior year, you're going to have all of your senior year events. So from here on out, it's really going to be busy. So managing your time is going to be really important in order to keep you, less stressed and on top of things, right? You don't want to add stress to your pile of things to do. So get your work done early so you don't have to worry about it later. Again, we're here to help you set those deadlines. So we're actually here, we're a good tool for you to use in your time management. We set our deadlines so our students don't rush, so that we're really trying to alleviate some of the stress on your end. So please follow the deadlines that we set. Again, be mindful of your YSI responsibilities. Your counselors will usually give you some homework after the meeting. Now more than ever, it's critical for you to complete that homework because there's so much going on. So stay on top of your meetings and workshops and essay editing, and also plan your schedule accordingly. A lot of you will be increasing your course load and your AP load in the fall. So getting a handle on your time management skill now is going to be really important. Also, that being said, don't bite off more than you could chew during your 12th grade year, right? So it's important to keep your GPA up first, right? That's going to be one of the primary indicators on the college application essay, and college application second. Standardized testing, well, I would say GPA, standardized testing, school extracurriculars, and applications is really like the list to go in, just because standardized testing now is optional at a lot of schools. So take responsibility for your applications. So again, you're adults now, so the applications are your responsibility, but we're here to support you. At the end of the day, they are your applications, and this is for you. So keep track of your own deadlines and application requirements and test dates. We will provide the deadlines for you, so just stay organized on them. And again, learn how to handle your stress. This is really important. I even tell my students who are about to take the SAT, sleep. Make sure you're sleeping enough. Make sure you're eating regularly. Just make sure you have a good and healthy schedule and you're exercising. These are all really important tools for success that can really set you over the edge here, right? I know you're all intelligent, so just these self-care activities are also really important as well. And again, don't procrastinate, that adds to stress. Yeah, so you're not going to get any less busy than you are now. I think I mentioned this. Winter grades in SAT, AP tests, summer, you're going away, fall, AP classes. So you're never going to have as much time as you have now, right? Make the most of the now and get as much done as you can. Your future self will thank you. Yes, so we understand that you're busy and your college applications must also be a priority. So when you sign your senior contract today, you are agreeing to follow our policies and participate fully in the application season with YSI. Again, some additional keys to success, right? Look ahead, don't let the deadline sneak up on you. Don't procrastinate, submit your work early. And as I mentioned before, we're here to help you with all of that. We have set the deadline, so you know, you have us as a resource as well. Okay, so now we're going to go over the senior contract a little bit today. So I think it's time to pass out the senior contract. Okay, so I'm just going to lead through this contract with you really quickly. So again, here's the Internet App Seminar date. Again, here's a little bit about College Info organization. Again, we've covered a lot of that in the seminar as well. One thing I want to point out, this schedule is also in your senior folder in the application season schedule. These will be all of our seminars that we have throughout the year. So the dates and times of those seminars are here on your senior packet. This is a good thing for you to reference throughout the application season. There's also a description of each of the seminars. I'm not going to go over them right now. You'll also see the application season timeline that you have a document in your senior folder for. And you have a list of important dates and events. Just we have it listed in like several visual representations for you. So at the end of this packet, which really goes over, it really just summarizes a lot of the stuff that we've had in this application seminar already. You have the Young Scholars College Application Contract. And again, in the slides, I've really read off a lot of the college contract to you already. So we have our hours. Again, you'll be expected to come and work on college applications, go to the essay editing workshop. We'll also have financial aid seminars in the spring. We have our December 1st hard deadline. That's a really important piece on the senior contract. So our hard deadline for our applications is December 1st. We do have emergency counseling after that, case-by-case basis. And obviously, we have an academic integrity statement, as all classes and universities do as well. So we're going to assist you with the process, but we cannot write the essays for you. Obviously, we have a zero tolerance for plagiarism, but we are here to support you. Again, our expectations is that you have the final list and abide to the final list of colleges. And again, you are responsible for the fees associated with applications to the colleges themselves. We don't have any part in those fees. And that is an overview of the contract for you. Okay, well, your counselors will be able to follow up with you have any questions then, right? You can mull this over and ask your counselors any questions that you have. I hope this provided a good overview and things to expect, and then you can go into more detail in your personal cases with your counselor. So it's really good to talk to you today. I hope you have a good night.
If you would like more information or join our programs, please give us a call at 626-286-0200 or email us at ysprep@gmail.com. Thank you.